Her heels strike the marble floor like a metronome set to a sultry, unyielding rhythm, each click reverberating through the gilded lobby of the Elysian Grand Hotel. Amara Johnson moves with the grace of a panther, her tailored black suit clinging to her frame like a lover's whisper, the silk blouse beneath catching the chandelier light in a shimmer of defiance. She smells of oud and amber, a scent that curls through the air like smoke, turning heads before she even reaches the front desk. The receptionist, a wiry man with a pinched face and a name tag reading Elliot, doesn't look up from his computer. His fingers dance across the keys, oblivious to the storm brewing in her shadow. She stops, her presence a sudden weight in the room, and he finally lifts his eyes. They narrow, flicking over her like she's an inconvenience, not a revelation. "Wait in the lobby," he says, his voice flat, clipped, dismissive. He gestures vaguely toward a cluster of velvet armchairs, where a handful of guests sip martinis and murmur secrets. She doesn't move, her lips part, painted a deep crimson, and she replies, "I have a meeting upstairs." Her tone is velvet over steel, smooth but unyielding. He cuts her off before the words fully settle. "Ma'am, guests use the other entrance." The ma'am drips with condescension, a barb disguised as courtesy. The air thickens. Nearby, a woman in a pearl necklace glances over her glass, her eyebrows arching. A man in a pinstripe suit shifts uncomfortably, pretending to check his watch. Amara's eyes darken, a storm gathering behind them, but her composure holds like a tightly coiled spring. She leans forward, just enough for her shadow to fall across his desk, and says nothing. The silence is a weapon, sharp and deliberate. Elliot blinks, his bravado faltering for a split second, but he doubles down, pointing again toward the lobby. "Over there," he insists, as if she's a stray who wandered too far. The elevator doors hiss open, and a man in a charcoal suit stumbles out, his polished shoes skidding slightly on the marble. His face is flushed, his tie askew, and his voice trembles as he calls, "Miss Johnson." The manager, his name tag reads Vincent, rushes toward her, hands clasped in a plea. "We're so sorry for the delay," he says, his eyes darting to Elliot, who freezes, the color draining from his face. "You have full access to the executive suite. Your team is waiting." Amara doesn't acknowledge the apology. She turns, her movements liquid and deliberate, and follows Vincent without a word. The lobby watches her go, the tension snapping like a taut wire. But the sting lingers. By afternoon, an email lands in the hotel's upper management inbox, its subject line a single word: accountability. Hours later, the board meeting is cancelled, and the Elysian Grand shuts its doors, temporarily, they say, for a full internal investigation. Respect, it turns out, isn't optional, neither is the reckoning that follows. The story doesn't begin here, though. It begins earlier, hours before the lobby becomes a battlefield, when the sun still kisses the Los Angeles skyline with a golden haze. Amara Johnson sits in the back of a sleek black Tesla, her fingers tracing the edge of a tablet as her driver, Javier, weaves through traffic. She's 38, a tech titan who built Zenith Innovations from a garage startup into a billion-dollar empire. Her hair is swept into a low chignon, each strand disciplined, mirroring the control she wields over her world. She wears power like a second skin, but there's a heat beneath it, a passion that simmers in her dark eyes, a hunger that drives her beyond the boardroom. 20 years ago, Amara was a girl in a cramped Inglewood apartment. Her mother, Lena, hunched over a sewing machine late into the night, her hands calloused from cleaning offices by day. Lena's voice still echoes in Amara's ears. "You're smarter than they think, baby. Don't let them forget it." Her younger brother, Jamal, was the dreamer, scribbling rap lyrics on napkins until a stray bullet stole him at 16. That loss carved a wound in Amara, one she filled with ambition, brick by brick, code by code. She taught herself Python on a library computer, sold her first app at 19, a budgeting tool for single moms like Lena, and never looked back. Zenith Innovations was born in a Pasadena garage, its first product a chatbot that outsmarted Siri. Now it's Alara, an AI so intuitive it predicts your next move before you make it, that has the world buzzing, and the Elysian Grand's board salivating. Javier glances at her in the rearview mirror, his brown eyes crinkling. "You good, boss?" he asks, his accent a soft lilt from his Guatemalan roots. He nods, a faint smile tugging her lips. Javier's been with her 5 years, a former mechanic who fixed her first clunker of a car. He's loyal, quiet, a steady pulse in her chaotic life. Just thinking, she says, her voice low, as the Tesla hums past palm primes and billboards. She's on her way to the Elysian Grand, a hotel synonymous with old money and whispered deals. The board has summoned her for an exclusive meeting, though the details are shrouded in mystery. Rumors swirl that they want Alara to revolutionize their guest experience. Facial recognition at check-in, predictive room service, a digital concierge that knows your desires before you do. Amara smells opportunity, but she also smells danger. The Elysian's board is a cabal of aging white men who clutch their legacies like drowning sailors cling to driftwood. They don't partner, they possess. She's prepared for a fight, but not the one that greets her. The Tesla glides to a stop outside the hotel's towering glass facade, a monolith of wealth piercing the LA sky. She steps out, the late morning air warm against her skin, carrying the faint salt of the Pacific 3 miles west. Her suit, custom-made by a Parisian designer, who once dressed Monaco's princess, hugs her curves with a precision that's both sensual and commanding. She adjusts her cufflinks, gold and engraved with AJ, a gift from her mother on Zenith's IPO day. Lena cried then, her tears soaking Amara's shoulder, and died a year later, her heart giving out too soon. The cufflinks are a talisman now, a reminder of who she fights for. She strides toward the entrance, her heels clicking against the pavement, a rhythm of intent. The doorman, a broad-shouldered man named Clarence, with a practiced smile and a scar above his left brow, holds the door open. "Welcome," he says, his voice a low rumble, like distant thunder. She nods, a flicker of warmth in her gaze. She sees the working man beneath the uniform, but her focus is already upstairs, on the game ahead. Inside, the lobby is a cathedral of excess, marble floors veined with gold, chandeliers dripping crystals like frozen tears, a grand piano humming a soft jazz tune under the fingers of a gray-haired player. Guests drift through the space, their wealth evident in the cut of their clothes, Tom Ford suits, Chanel bags, and the weight of their jewelry, diamonds glinting like tiny suns. Amara feels their eyes on her, some curious, some appraising, a few hostile. She's used to it. Being a black woman at the top means every room is a proving ground, every glance a challenge. She thrives on it, the adrenaline sharpening her senses, igniting that fire she keeps so carefully banked. Her skin prickles under their stares, but her posture remains a blade, unyielding, elegant, dangerous. The Elysian Grand isn't just a hotel, it's a myth woven into LA's fabric. Built in 1928 by a silent film mogul, it hosted starlets and gangsters. Its penthouse, a stage for illicit trusts and backroom deals. Decades later, it's a fortress of the elite. Its walls whispering of a vanished heiress in '63, a financial scandal in '89, and rumors of mob money still greasing its gears. The board, 7 men with lineages tracing back to oil, steel, and Hollywood, guards it like a dragon hoarding gold. Amara knows their game. They want Alara not to enhance their guests' lives, but to tighten their grip, to surveil and manipulate. She'll give them innovation, but never control. She approaches the front desk, her heels announcing her arrival, with a cadence that demands attention. Elliot, the receptionist, is hunched over his screen, his thin fingers pecking at the keyboard. He's young, mid-20s, with a sharpness to his features, high cheekbones, a pointed nose that suggests ambition but not wisdom. His uniform is crisp, but there's a faint coffee stain on his sleeve, a hint of carelessness, Amara notes. Instantly, his hair, a sandy blonde, is gelled into submission, and his name tag gleams under the lobby's light. She stops, waiting for him to look up. He doesn't. "Excuse me," she says, her voice a low purr, rich with authority, a sound that could coax secrets from stone. He glances up, his blue eyes skimming her face, her suit, the leather briefcase slung over her shoulder. His expression shifts, surprise, then something colder, a flicker of disdain. "Wait in the lobby," he says, his tone clipped, as if she's a delivery driver who took a wrong turn. Her jaw tightens, a subtle flex of muscle, but her face remains a mask of calm. "I have a meeting upstairs," she replies, each word deliberate, a thread of steel woven through the silk. He cuts her off, his voice rising just enough to draw eyes. "Ma'am, guests use the other entrance." The ma'am lands like a slap, its edge biting deeper than he intends. or maybe exactly as he intends. She feels it, a spark igniting in her chest, hot and dangerous. The lobby seems to tilt, the murmurs of the guests growing sharper, their glances more pointed. A woman in a mink stole pauses mid-step, her lips pursing. A man with a Rolex adjusts his cuff, his stare lingering too long. Amara could correct Elliot, could say, "I'm Amara Johnson, CEO of Zenith Innovations, and your board is waiting for me." But she doesn't. Not yet. She wants him to dig his own grave. She leans forward, her elbows resting lightly on the counter, her perfume jasmine and sandalwood curling toward him like a tendril of smoke. "I'm not a guest," she says, her voice dropping an octave, laced with a sensuality that's almost a threat. "I'm here for the board." His eyes widen, just a fraction, but he recovers quickly, pointing toward the lobby again with a bony finger. "Over there," he snaps, his impatience a brittle shield. She straightens, her gaze locking with his, and in that moment he feels the weight of her, a force he can't name but instinctively fears. His Adam's apple bobs, a bead of sweat glinting at his temple, but he doubles down, his lips thinning into a smirk. Elliot's not just a receptionist, he's a legacy hire. The nephew of a board member, Grayson's sister's kid, whispered about in staff rooms. He grew up in Brentwood, private schools and polo lessons, but flunked out of UCLA, his arrogance outpacing his grades. This job was a favor, a stepping stone he resents. And Amara's presence, her confidence, her blackness, her womanhood grates against his fragile entitlement. He doesn't know her name, but he senses her power, and it unnerves him. The elevator dings, and Vincent emerges, his face a mask of panic. He's the hotel manager, mid-40s with a receding hairline and a suit that's expensive but ill-fitting. The shoulders too broad, as if he's trying to outrun his own mediocrity. He's been at the Elysian a decade, clawing his way up from bellhop, dreaming of a corner office he'll never get. His hands tremble as he spots Amara, nearly tripping over a rug in his haste. "Ms. Johnson," he calls, his voice too loud, bouncing off the marble and silencing the piano mid-note. "We're so sorry for the delay." He shoots a glare at Elliot, who pales, his hands freezing mid-type. "You have full access to the executive suite. Your team is waiting." She doesn't respond. She turns, her movements fluid, deliberate, a queen dismissing a peasant. Vincent scrambles to keep pace as she strides toward the elevator, her heels a drumbeat of retribution. The doors slide shut, and the lobby exhales, the tension lingering like perfume in the air. Elliot slumps against the desk, his bravado shattered, but he doesn't yet grasp the storm he's unleashed. Clarence, the doorman, watches from his post, a faint shake of his head. He's seen this before, young fools underestimating the wrong woman. Upstairs, the executive suite is a sanctum of dark wood and leather, the air heavy with the scent of cigars and old money. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame the city, downtown's jagged skyline softened by haze. Amara's team, 3 sharp-minded lieutenants in tailored suits, waits at a glass conference table, their laptops open, their faces expectant. There's Kemi Tubayo, her COO, a 42-year-old Nigerian-American, with a razor-sharp wit and a penchant for vintage Bordeaux, her braids coiled into an elegant updo. She and Amara clashed once, rivals at a tech conference, until a late-night debate over AI ethics turned into a partnership. Marcus Lin, her CTO, is 35, a soft-spoken genius with wire-rimmed glasses and a scar on his knuckle from a childhood accident. He lost his mentor to cancer last year, and his quiet masks a simmering grief. Priya Sharma, her Hello Counsel, is 39, her almond eyes and warm smile a velvet glove over an iron fist. Born in Mumbai, she fought her way through Harvard Law, her parents' sacrifices, her father a cab driver, her mother a seamstress, etched into her resolve. They rise as she enters, sensing the electricity in her stride. "Everything okay?" Kemi asks, her voice a smooth alto, her eyes narrowing as she reads Amara's silence. "Fine," Amara replies, but the word is a lie, and they all know it. She sets her briefcase down. The click of the latches a gunshot in the quiet room. "Let's get to work," she says, her tone clipped, but beneath it there's a tremor, a fury she's holding by a thread. They don't press her. They've seen her like this before, a volcano on the verge of eruption, and they know better than to stand too close. The meeting with the board is scheduled for noon, but as Amara briefs her team, her mind drifts back to the lobby. Elliot's dismissal wasn't just rudeness, it was a betrayal of her time, her dignity, her very presence. She's faced it before countless times. In fact, men and women who look at her and see only skin, not power. At 25, a venture capitalist called her articulate with a smirk, his hand lingering on her back. At 30, a rival CEO asked if she was the diversity hire at a gala, his wine glass tipping. She's crushed them all, her victory's a tally of scars. But this time, it's personal. The Elysium Grand isn't just a hotel, it's a symbol, a bastion of privilege that's about to learn her name. Meanwhile, below, Lucia Morales sweeps the 5th-floor hallway, her maid's uniform starched and gray. She's 29, a single mom with a son in 3rd grade, her hands rough from years of scrubbing. She's worked at the Elysian 3 years, her ears tuned to the whispers, cash slipped to bellhops, a locked room no one cleans, a board member's late-night guests. She saw Elliot snap at Amara, saw Vincent's panic, and knows trouble's brewing. Lucia's no fool. She keeps a notebook in her locker, dates and names scribbled in pencil. She doesn't know Amara, but she feels a kinship, a woman underestimated, fighting a machine. The clock ticks toward noon, and the boardroom doors open. 7 men file in, their suits gray and navy, their faces etched with decades of entitlement. The chairman, Harold Grayson, sits at the head, his silver hair swept back, his blue eyes cold as Arctic ice. He's 68, a descendant of oil barons, his cousin a federal judge who once ruled against Amara's patent fight. He greets her with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "Ms. Johnson," he says, his voice a gravelly drawl, "we've heard impressive things about Zenith." The others nod. Edward Voss, the shipping magnate with a limp. Charles Hart, a real estate tycoon with a gold pinky ring. Their expressions a mix of curiosity and condescension. She stands, her presence filling the room, and begins her pitch. Her voice is a melody of confidence and seduction, weaving data and vision into a tapestry they can't ignore. She talks of Elara, how it anticipates desires, streamlines luxury, triples revenue. Slides flicker on a screen, a guest checks in, Elara scans their face, knows they crave a martini in a Seaview room. She cites Zenith, 300% growth, her patents pending, her team's brilliant. They lean forward, caught in her orbit, but she sees the flicker in Grayson's eyes, a calculation, a hunger not for partnership, but for control. She's danced this dance before, and she knows the steps. The meeting ends with promises of follow-ups, but as she gathers her things, Grayson lingers. "A word, Miss Johnson," he says, his tone too smooth, too familiar. She nods, her guard up. He steps closer, his cologne sharp and expensive, bergamot and leather, and murmurs, "We could do great things together if you're willing to play by our rules." His hand brushes her arm, a touch that's both invitation and threat. She freezes, her skin prickling, then steps back, her smile a blade. "I make my own rules," she says, and leaves him standing there, his ego bruised, his jaw tight. Back in the suite, she tells Priya, "Draft an email." Her voice is ice, but her eyes burn. Priya nods, her fingers already flying across her laptop. The email is short, surgical, to the Elysian Grand Board. "Today's incident at your front desk reflects a systemic failure. Zenith Innovations demands a full investigation into your staff's conduct. Until resolved, all discussions are on hold. Respectfully, Amara Johnson." It's sent by 2 p.m., and within hours the hotel is in chaos. Vincent Fields calls from upper management, his tie undone, his office a mess of papers. Elliot summoned to HR, his uncle's name no shield now. Lucia overhears security muttering about cameras, a review of tapes. The board meeting is cancelled, the Elysian Grand shuts down temporarily for an internal review, but whispers spread, lawsuits, firings, a rival chain sniffing for weakness. The LA Times picks it up by evening, tech titan shakes up Elysian Grand, racial bias alleged. Mara watches from her office in Century City, a glass of bourbon in hand, the city sprawling below her. She feels no triumph, only a hollow satisfaction. This isn't about revenge, it's about power, about forcing a system to bend. The bourbon burns her throat. a comfort as the sun sets casting shadows across her desk. She thinks of Lena, of Jamal, of the girl who coded in the dark. She thinks of Elliot's sneer, Vincent's groveling, Grayson's hand on her arm. It's a microcosm of her life, a reminder that respect is a currency she must demand, not expect. Her phone buzzes, Kami texting. They're scrambling, good work. Amara sips again, her resolve hardening. The Elysian Grand will reopen, but it'll never forget her name. Neither will the world. But as she sets the glass down, a new email pings. From Grayson, no subject, just 3 words. This isn't over. She stares at it, the city lights flickering below, and feels the next battle rising. Alara's power, Zenith's future, her own legacy, it's all at stake. She leans back, a predator's smile curving her lips. Let them come.